We're now 12 months into the restoration of the eastern side of the chateau roof, and an exciting discovery of the original architect's drawings and floor plans in the chateau archives is now helping us 250 years later to plan the restoration of the interior of the chateau. One of our big challenges recently has been deciding the layout of the premier etage, so the floor plan, how each room is going to be used. And we've been working closely with our architect and going back and forth on different ideas. And Tim and I are now confident that we're very close to the final layout of the premier etage, which is really exciting. There were so many challenges involved in this, but we're confident that we're at a point where we know the use for each room, and so we can actually start preparing these rooms, even though some of the issues are not yet resolved, mainly being around heating. So today I'm finally going to get back on the tools. It's been so long, it's been since we finished the bedroom and bathrooms, so I'm really excited actually, but I'm going to work on this tiny little room behind me, which is full of cobwebs, spider nests, falling plaster. It's beyond disgusting, but this room is going to have the hot water system in it, and small spaces are important, so we're going to give it a big clean up, move the spiders out of here, replaster, paint, so it's just a really beautiful clean white space. So not a glamorous space to do at all, but a very important one nonetheless. So it's off to work for me. This is a very cramped space now. I had to set it straddling the door actually. And so I've managed to get a light in here as well, which is great, but there's not a lot of space and requires quite a gymnastics mover to get in and out, but it's gonna work. See? It seems like a lot of work for just a hot water system, doesn't it? But the room really, I wasn't okay with just putting the hot water system in here as it was and leaving it as it was. It's really just too disgusting. And I guess the thing with these small spaces is that you may not notice the work that has been done, but you'd certainly notice the work that hasn't been done. And I guess that's the thing here, making sure everything's done beautifully, properly, even if you don't really notice it. Still got a lot of plastering to do, and then I'm going to sand it and give it a coat of paint. Look at it, it's tiny. So Tim is back in Australia visiting family just before Christmas, and so I'm here at the chateau on my own. It's the first time on my own actually. It's not so bad, but the temperatures have dropped. It's so freezing cold, so super hard to stay motivated to do things in the section of the chateau up here where we need to do things, because it's freezing. In fact, some days it's warmer outside than inside here, but still trying to get this tiny little room finished where the hot water system is going to go for the new bathrooms up here on the premier etage. So trying desperately to stay motivated and to stay warm. But one good thing about this little room actually is it has the chimney outlet for where our heating system in the small section that we heat downstairs comes out. So the room itself is a little bit warmer than here. I'm just going to try and finish getting the ceiling painted at least, and then that will be at least one thing done. It's not easy though, working in this cold, like your hands just kill all the time. Oh, I can't wait till we find a solution to heat the chateau so we can actually live here comfortably. Anyway. I want to get this done a little bit before tomorrow because our architect is coming tomorrow with Drac, and they're going to present, and he's going to present his findings of the internal diagnostic that he's done at the chateau. And if they're walking around, which I imagine they will be a lot, I sort of want to have this room a little bit more respectable.
L'idée est de prendre l'état 18e de référence, bien entendu. La question qui se pose, qu'on a essayé de regarder ensemble, c'est le confort, les éléments de confort, et en particulier donc, tout ce qui est plomberie, salle de bain, pour démolir évidemment le moins possible. En même temps, la chance que nous avons, c'est que comme on est de la distribution de la fin du XVIIIe siècle, pratiquement toutes les chambres ont des cabinets, et donc on peut aménager les choses. Donc ce qu'on a essayé de faire avec Tim et Felicity, c'est de travailler en fait sur des superpositions pour que les descentes soient le moins intrusives possible. Et donc ce que j'ai fait sur les plans, c'est de localiser les descentes qu'on a vu, parce que pour qu'on sache tout de suite, même si les travaux sont faits par petits bouts, qu'on sache où sont les réseaux, et comme ça on ne fait pas de bêtises. On a tout, c'est extraordinaire. Sincèrement, moi, l'étude, pour moi, il y en a presque que la moitié qui est faite là. On pourrait.
So we're here on the premier étage or first floor of the chateau in the eastern wing, and it's here that we find the small room that I've been working on that's going to be the technical room for the supply of hot water and electricity to this side of the chateau. And our architect has just finished presenting his findings of the interior diagnostic study, and we'd always hoped that this study would provide a really rich foundation for the restoration of the interior of the chateau. But what he has found is beyond extraordinary. And so today I wanted to share with you his findings in relation to this bedroom. So this room is the bedroom where we find the beautiful blue arabesque wallpaper, which was manufactured by the Royal Workshop Revillon in Paris. And you can see here on my left-hand side that some of the panels have been removed because it's also this side of the chateau where the roof restoration work is currently happening, and these panels needed to be protected. But thanks to the diagnostic study and the extensive archives that we have here at the chateau, we now know that this room was built for Auguste, the eldest son of the Marquis and the Marquise, and it was finished in 1785. Now in 1783, Auguste was enrolled at the École Militaire in Paris, the exact same time that Napoleon Bonaparte was there. And given that Auguste and Napoleon are exactly the same age, there is no doubt that the two crossed paths when they were at school. Now, Auguste went off to fight with the royal armies during the Revolution and was killed in a massacre in Lyon in 1792, 7 years after this room was finished. So given that he was at boarding school in Paris and then off fighting, it's hard to imagine that he really even had any time to spend here to enjoy this beautiful room that was built for him. What's also interesting about these 14 principal bedrooms in the chateau, like our architect mentioned during the presentation of the internal diagnostics, is that each room has at least 2 adjoining rooms. So one room would have been the garde-robe or the cabinet, so their dressing room, and the second room is a smaller room for the domestic staff member who was responsible for looking after the family member whose bedroom it was. Now, what that enables us to do in these rooms is to easily create ensuite bathrooms with minimum disruption to the building itself. And so I'm really keen to get this small technical room finished so that we can start working on something much more exciting, which is the restoration of this bedroom and the ensuite bathroom behind us. So also I've had a small change of plans in relation to the room. I was going to paint it, but the walls are not flat. And so what I've decided to do is use a lime wash so we get a beautiful texture on the walls. And I'm also going to put a small earthy tint into the lime wash because otherwise it's going to be a very stark white. So I'm off to make some lime wash and get this little room finished finally. It's taken so long. Done, this tiny little room, and all I've got to show for it is a nice clean space. But hey, we all know it's not the size of the room that matters, and most importantly, it means we've only got 102 rooms left to go.